This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work with another Wolff Responds. And this one is about the tragedy of all the suffering going on in Texas and surrounding areas, but particularly Texas. 7 million people now have to boil their water because it is unsafe to drink. Millions are cold, without power, without water of any kind, even not the kind that you have to boil. What in the world is going on? How do we understand the almost biblical proportions of what is happening in the United States? We have 20 to 25 million unemployed people. We have lost 500,000 of our fellow Americans to COVID. With 4% of the world's population, we have 20% of the world's deaths from COVID. We have unmanageable fires in California and the West Coast. And now we have the failure of the electrical industry of Texas to be prepared for cold weather. Like we've had to watch our health system privatized, be unprepared for the kind of virus that visits the human race from time to time and that we know all about. Just like we know cold temperatures can come. The story, unfortunately, is the same. If you leave the maintenance of key social circumstances and social institutions and social protections to the mercies of private profit enterprises, you are making a basic mistake. What private enterprises do, as they will tell you, is they make profit their bottom line. And there is no mystery here. If you allow businesses to be owned and operated by a very small number of people, the employers, the folks who own the business, either as an individual or a family, or if it's a stock company, as the major shareholders who elect the board of directors. A tiny number of people relative to the mass of people who are the workers, the employees. If you have a system like that, what the people at the top want is the profits, because that's what goes to them. They're not here to maximize jobs. That's what goes to us, the workers. They're not here to maximize our wages, because those go to us. They're there to maximize profits because that's the part of the business that goes to them. So that's what they're in business to do, to maximize profit. That's what they learned how to do at business school or on the job. And that's what they've done. So the energy companies in Texas, they didn't want to spend a lot of money preparing for an extreme situation, because that would have been expensive, and that money would have come out of what otherwise they could pocket as their profits. That's right. So they didn't take those extra steps. Of course, if the people who have to live in the kinds of conditions Texans are suffering now were in charge, they would have understood what it means to be prepared for the cold, to make sure that you can either connect to the rest of the electric grid in the United States, which Texas doesn't do, or to take the steps to ensure that you're safe when you can't go to the grid of the rest of the country to help you out in extreme moments. You got to do one or the other. If your goal is public welfare, just like you had to be prepared if your goal is public health, prepared for a virus. The American companies that could have produced the masks, the ventilators, the ICU units in hospitals, they could have produced them. They could have stored them in the right places around the country and then waited who knows how long until the next health need arose. But that wouldn't be profitable. That would be risky. And private capitalists don't want to do things that are risky and not very profitable. They have more profitable opportunities, and so they took them. That's how capitalism works. And that's why capitalism is not a good way to organize your public health system, and it's not a good way to organize your energy system, and so on. The problem here isn't the weather. And the problem isn't this or that politician, however venal they might be. And I do take my hat off to the Senator Cruz from Texas, who managed to go on a vacation to a warm part of Mexico while the state he's supposed to be a leader of freezes. Yeah, I don't want to excuse it, but this is a deeper problem. This is a systemic problem. Private enterprise is not God's gift to the human race. It's not the best solution. It's a bad system in many ways. And a rational society would ask the logical question: which things that we need can best be managed by private enterprises, and which can best be managed by the collective effort mobilized by the government? We're not rational. We're ideologically fundamentalist. We have to make one of those good and the other one bad. That's childish, but its costs are enormous, as the suffering in Texas teaches us. The workers in the energy industry and the customers, those are the two key players, and they together should shape what energy is, what public health requires, and all the other questions that should be answered in terms of what's best for the people as a whole, not what's best for the profits that go to such a small minority. This is Richard Wolff with another Wolff Responds.